Hello, yes, and welcome to another edition of the Rams Writer podcast, the podcast from the fan, for the fans. I'm Simon, aka the Rams Writer. Only one thing to talk about today. Let's just get straight to it. So, wonder what we're going to talk about. Richard Keogh has been sacked or had his contract mutually terminated by Derby County. Why, you ask? Well, it has been done for gross misconduct. So, I've obviously asked you guys to question and comment. I only did it a couple hours ago, so I didn't expect a massive response, but I've got some comments, which is good. But I'm going to give my thoughts on this first. So, Richard Keogh was obviously the passenger in Tom Lawrence's car when it crashed. Both Tom Lawrence and Mason Bennett was in a different car. We're done for drink driving. Keogh has sustained injuries to both his MCL and his ACL, and will be out for around about 15 months. So Richard Keogh's contract runs out in 2020. Therefore, by the time he gets back from his injury, if all goes to plan and all goes well, will be about 3 months left of his contract. So, what did Derby County do? So the news broke yesterday, about lunchtime, 2 o'clock, 2:30, something like that, that Derby had basically given him what you could say is an ultimatum. Either you see out the rest of your contract on reduced wages, or we dismiss you. So they offered him, obviously, reduced wages. They said, you've got 40 days to decide. He decided, no, pretty much, I don't know, about 4 hours later, no, not having it. Don't want reduced wages. And so his contract was basically ripped up and thrown in the bin. End of that. End of Richard Keogh. So I've just literally read in the Times newspaper that the reason why Keogh was sacked is for gross misconduct, and that was because allegedly he wasn't wearing a seatbelt. The Times are sort of confirming that he wasn't wearing a seatbelt, and that's part of the reason why he's been sacked. Obviously, the club are keeping the cards close to the chest, which they are well within their rights to do. That's fair enough. You know, we don't need to know yet. There's an ongoing investigation been going on, and obviously this is going to continue now because Richard Keogh's got 2 weeks to appeal, basically. So 14 days to appeal, 2 weeks, whatever. So yeah, it's going to be more drama that Derby don't necessarily need. So if he wasn't wearing a seatbelt, you know, he's got injured because of that, then I can see why. He got into a car essentially with a drunk driver. Did he know he was drunk? Probably yes. They'd been on the night out with him. And he didn't put his seatbelt on, crashed, and because of that he's injured his knee. So that is as far as it goes so far. That is all the facts. I'm just speaking facts. I'm not speaking rumours or whatever. I'm just speaking facts of what I've read in the Times newspaper. Also, another reason, according to Chris Cole's Radio Derby, is because of his figure as being the club captain, essentially. You know, he has responsibility. Now, I know people, when this first happened, said, yeah, but he's the club captain, but this is an off-the-field incident. It doesn't matter. When you're club captain, you're in charge. They were on a club night out. Let's not forget this. It was a sanctioned club night out. And you know, we all know those cars bombed from. They refused the cars and they drove home drunk. And then obviously the accident happened. So, you know, Mason Bennett and Tom Lawrence they got charged. They've been banned from driving, fined, community service, community order from the club as well, fined 6 weeks' wages from the club as well. So, Richard Keogh, on the other hand, you know, he's the captain. He's got to take some responsibility in my eyes, for being the captain. You know, he should have. He what you'd really expect of a captain is to say, right, no, come on, lads, that's it. Let's go get taxis home. If you want to carry on drinking, we'll go around one of the lads' houses and carry on drinking there, whatever. But no, they chose to stay out and do it, and then ultimately, we know what happened. So I get that. You know, when you appoint a club captain, you know, let's not forget, Keogh's been captain, for 6, 7 years? You know, not really put a foot wrong, regards to obviously his behaviour, etc. And there was faith and trust by obviously the managers, by Mel Morris, who, Keogh apparently he had a good relationship with Mel Morris. So for me, he's got to say, no, lads, come on, it's time to go. Let's get in the cars, let's go. We've had a good day out, had a good time, had a few bevers, let's go. Training whenever, a game whenever, it's time to go. But he didn't. So that's another reason why we think why the media think he's been sacked, or whatever you want to call it, mutually terminated contract. So what are my thoughts on it, may you ask? So ironically, actually, I wrote an article on my thoughts yesterday, and then literally 10 minutes after I posted it, he got sacked. So it was a bit like, oh, okay, that's a waste of an article. Never mind, So my thoughts now then are, I would have personally taken the money. I know it's a big drop, but apparently he's on between £25,000-29,000 a week. Wow. So to drop to, if supposedly it is £3,000, I'd have taken it. Why? Because Derby have stuck by me. I have now, because of a decision that I made myself, as in obviously he made himself, out of football, have caused myself a damage. But I get where the club's coming from to take this pay drop, and I'll still get my medical, my rehabilitation, all that sorted for by the club. Because at the end of the day, his career could pretty much be over now. It's over in the Derby shirt, we know that. But as a footballer in general, as a footballer generally. It could be that this could be it. I mean, we've seen Sean Barker had a bad knee injury. That was obviously on the football pitch. He took reduced wages from Derby, and Derby took care of him. Derby looked after him. Derby got him, physically fit again. We even played games in the under-23s, and then obviously went to Burton Albion after that. So surely he should have swallowed his pride a bit and maybe held up his hands and said, "Yeah, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have got in that car. I knew they were drunk, perhaps, because we all saw the video. We've all seen the video that I think it was Tom Huddleston took of Mason Bennett puking in the toilets. They'd all had a few drinks, and fair enough. You're on a night out, have a few drinks, but be responsible, So it's a sad way for his career to end at Derby. 7 years he's been with us, 7 years, and I think his contract would have taken him to 2020. It would have been in 9 years. I definitely would have. I'm assuming they would have offered him a year's extension, regardless of his age, regardless of if he played or not. I think they would have offered him that year to get him his testimonial. But that's gone now. All that's gone, and it's sad. Richard Keogh, he's torn. He tore the fan base apart. Some people loved him, some people hated him. As a player, he gave everything. He really did give everything for this badge, for this shirt. But, obviously he made mistakes. And obviously it cost us. But he'd always give everything. So to see his career end like this, like I said, it's sad. It really is. It's obviously not the way that he would wanted his career to end, obviously, And I don't think, I think if he'd gone, lasted 10 years at the club, and he'd gone, right, okay, yeah, I'm 35, whatever, 36 now. I'm retiring. Well, I'm not retiring, but I'm leaving. I'm leaving now. He would have got, a brilliant send off, and I'm sure we would have pretty much, we would have got thousands of people to come to his testimonial. I genuinely believe that. Like I say, he's had his faults. Everybody has, on the pitch wise. But for me, I would have taken, I would have said, okay, fair enough, yeah, I'll take the pay cut. But is that me talking as a fan, Because I pay, if Derby County offered me like £1,000 or something, or even if they offered me, £500 a week to play for Derby, I would, because it's my team, and it's not necessarily Keogh's team, no, but he's played here long enough, and I would have thought he would have gone, yeah, okay, fair enough. You know, I mean, obviously there's people saying, why haven't Tom and Mason been sacked? They can still play. They're not going to cost the club any money. At the end of the day, they got fined 6 weeks' wages. You know, there is that. Obviously, they have got a sell-on value. You know, Mason Bennett was 23, Tom 25. They're still, you know, regardless of what you think of them as players, they still have value in them to the club. Whereas unfortunately, Richard Keogh, with his being his age and obviously how long his injury's taken him compared to how long his contract's going to end, doesn't. You know, and I know that sounds a bit harsh, but it's to quote Gary Rowett, in reality, it's true. So it's a bit sad. I mean, people have obviously expressed their opinions on Facebook. It split the fan base, as everything with Derby does seems to do. You know, we're like a husband and wife, I guess. We can never get on, never agree. You know, but I've even seen the likes of Jeff Henry piping up saying it's, you know, how can you treat the captain like that and a player like that? Let's not forget, Jeff, that Derby stuck by you when you were going through your issues. We did, you know. I'm not going into them. You can Google them, you know. But we did stick by him, you know, when he was having court appearances and things like that. So don't question. You know, I don't think you can question it. But for me, out of all this, you know, I do feel a bit of empathy for Richard Keogh. I really do. But I did feel that, you know, as I said, I think it, you know, it maybe it's time for him to go. So, you know, he's been with the club now a long time, you know. So, I think, yeah, just you know, because he was doing his coaching badges with us as well. That's probably gone out the window now. Yeah, he can do him somewhere else, obviously, but he could have done him Derby. He could have stayed, and you know, I know it's a big drop. You know, when you're getting over £1 million a year or whatever, then to be going to about, you know, like I say, three grand a week. You know, so you're looking at 100. It's about a tenth of his wage, or something like that. Daft like that. But you know, at least you would have got your rehabilitation, all your medical stuff, whatever you've got to go through. You know, so. And the other question is the insurances. Would the insurance? I did write an article on this a few weeks back. You can find it on the ramswriter.wordpress.com or the ramswriter.co.uk. About insurances and players, and it's their responsibility basically to keep fit and healthy and do everything they can in their power to keep fit and healthy. So doing something like this, you know, and essentially getting in the car, if it is true, obviously, without a seatbelt on, I don't think the insurances will pay out, you know. And he's got 14 days to appeal this, and I think he will do. It's more than likely that he will appeal this, you know, this sacking, unfair dismissal, etc. So it's just, I just think it's going to get a bit messy, and we don't need this at the moment. And this is why out of everything, I genuinely feel sorry for Philip Cocu. Now, let's be real. He's coming to a club, gone straight to America. He's got, you know, he's gone for a team. He's signed a 4-year deal. He's gone to a team that, you know, were close to being in the Premier League this season, very close. But that squad that was close to getting there, over half, maybe even more, have left for one reason or another. It's just a depleted squad, very depleted squad. So I do feel for him, and you know, and then obviously with all this off the field incidents, you know, he's had to do, you know, press conference after press conference after press conference. You know, you know, at the end of the day, when a manager's a press conference, it's to talk about the game, talk about players, you know, talk about, you know, the situation, not get questions or what's happening with such and such, or what's happening with this. Oh, you've sacked him now. Well, think about it. I think it's probably, you know, either Mel Morris or another director that sacked him. It's probably not Cocu's decision. You know, at the end of the day, he's the manager of the team. He just deals with the football side of things. So you can see it in his face. He looks dejected, you know. And I generally do feel for him. because the performances haven't been great, on the pitch. I know really 6 points or whatever it is, 8 points, whatever it is, off the top 6. But he has come in and, and he's had to deal with all this. And he's getting, obviously, some of the fan base are wanting him out. If that suits you, it's fine, But having to deal with this has surely got to have an effect on the whole of the dressing room, especially when it's your captain. So it's not what anybody wants, needs. It's not helping anything. So what I'll do now, I'm going to read some of your comments in questions. So first of all, then, I have to find them. I'm not printing them out this week. I don't have a chance. So G Legend or G_Legend on Twitter. Was this an impossible situation to handle perfectly? Had we took the moral high ground and sacked all 3, we lose 5 to 10 million in transfers plus 3 players to the squad. Whatever we would have done, we would be shooting ourselves in the foot. Exactly that. That is a fantastic comment, G. There's no way you could handle this situation perfectly. If you sack all 3, like he says, you lose, assets to the club. 3, like I said, 5 to 10 million, something like that. And you lose 3 players. We cannot lose 3 players. I've said many times we're a depleted squad, so we cannot afford or risk losing 3 players. Keogh's out, regardless, so he's gone. He's not fit enough to play, so we've lost him anyway. And perhaps if I don't know. Say if it was, I take it. Say if it was Keogh, Anya, and Tom Huddleston that were involved and were injured or drunk driving or whatever, perhaps the club would have got rid of all 3. One Tom, Huddleston, he's coming to the end of his contract this season. Anya, another one. So we're losing them anyway. They can't play. They're not fit. They've got no sale on value. So yeah, maybe if it was like that, then yeah. But the club had to look at this way in not just a footballing aspect, but a business aspect as well. So like G says, they've had to make the best of a bad situation, and this is probably it. Is keeping 2 out of 3 players because we cannot deplete our squad much further. And perhaps maybe they'll not be there in January. Who knows? Maybe Mason Bennett's not really come back around the first team squad. He did after the first couple of weeks, but he's not been back around since. Tom Lawrence obviously has been in and around it, and he's been starting and whatnot. But have we really got anyone that can dominate that left hand side? This is again, we can go into formations and things, and Tom Lawrence should be playing as a 10 role. Yeah, he should be, but have we got anybody to cover that left hand side? For me, no, not really. So yeah, that's a great shout, G. My G. So like I said, why have we done shooting ourselves in the foot? Robin Milner, the big issue this week is what does gross misconduct mean? I'm not a lawyer, but you might have to Google that, to be honest. Yeah, gross misconduct. I'll tell you what, I'll Google it. See if we can find out what it means. Gross misconduct is an act which is so serious that it justifies dismissal without notice or pay in lieu of notice for a first offence. They must be acts that destroy the relationship of trust and confidence between the employer and employee, making the working relationship impossible to continue. Right, okay, so that makes sense. Okay? So the act, so he's put himself at risk, caused himself an injury, caused himself potentially the company to lose money. Let's just forget about it being a football club. Let's look at it as a whole, as a business. Okay? And clearly what he's done, and this is what it goes on about being a captain for the club. Mel Morris and Keogh put a lot of trust in him to be the captain, to lead this team. So now, from doing what he's done, he's obviously destroyed that trust and the confidence between the employer, Derby County, and himself. So there we go. That's amazing. You gotta love Google, but hey, yeah. That's amazing, actually, because that's from elliswhittam.com. That's who my employees use to do training and stuff. Cool. Didn't even know that. I just Googled that. So, yeah, off track there. So, yeah, that Robin Milner, I hope that answers your question. So, that, yeah, gross misconduct makes sense. You know, if it was down to, I don't, you know, it was, possibly could have been negligence. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't study law. You know, so this is why I've always tried to deal with facts on here. You know, there's lots of rumours, or there's drugs involved and all this. Forget about that. You know, I think Chris Cole said it right on Radio Derby earlier on, that after all this is over in a couple of weeks' time, you know, after the 14 days, if the appeals, you know, so we could be looking at, I don't know, 6 to 8 weeks perhaps. But after it's all done and dusted, perhaps Mel Morris will come out with a statement and say, right, this is exactly what happened and why Richard Keogh got sacked, Mason Bennett and Tom Lawrence didn't. Perhaps they'll have a fan forum. We like them. You know, maybe that might be a good idea. So Derby County, if you're watching, I don't know if you are, but if you're watching, when this is all over, perhaps a fan forum would be great. Again, you know, because the fans love them. You know, and I think it's that the fan forums that you have are brilliant. You know, it gives us a chance to talk directly to yourself, Mel, and then obviously to the manager, to other directors. Maybe that is the best way. And then we can get answers, and then obviously we can start thinking about the season again. But obviously that's a long way out, and I don't know if it's going to happen or not. But perhaps, you know, it'd be good if we could do that. So, the next question then is from Daniel Garfield Garside. It's a long comment, this is. So, Daniel says, it's Daniel. Yeah, Daniel says, wouldn't normally throw my 2 pence in, but seeing as it's all I've seen in the last 24 hours, I'll make a comment, or 2 maybe. Keogh, the decision has been made, we all have to deal with it, okay? There is obviously more to that night of the incident. The club and media have only told us what they need or want us to hear, let's be honest. The decision could be a rightful one for all we know. He has served us well in 7 years so far. So in 7 years, so fair play to him. I personally wish him all the best for his next endeavour. The club on a whole, every one of us fans, whether you go to every match or none, have an opinion on this current season. Regardless to any results or where we are at the end of the season, we're still Derby. If we got relegated, we'd still all support Derby, our team. And if that was the case, the relegation bit, would it actually be a bad thing? In recent history, you have to look at the likes of Southampton and Leicester that have done just that, and bounced back tremendously. Of course, there is a chance of doing a Sunderland or Portsmouth, but I feel Mel is running the club much better now as a businessman instead of as a rich fan. I'd argue that's why we have been nearly men for years. Sorry for the long comment. No, great comment, mate. Yeah, like I say, Keogh's done and dusted, gone. But yeah, you're right. So basically what he's saying is that no man is bigger than the club. No. We support Derby County. You know, players come and go, managers come and go, owners come and go. Well, they do at Derby anyway. And we support the club, you know. And like he said, regardless if you go to every single game, if you go to a handful, or if you go to none and you just sit at home, or you're abroad and you watch it on Rams TV, or you listen to it on Radio Derby, you're still a fan. You still want this club to do well. You still buy this shirt with this ram on it because you want the club to do well, you know. And sometimes, you know, we went into the Premier League and we got dicked on every week. 11 points. Lowest points tally, lowest goal scored, all that history, all that embarrassment, etc. But we all still went and supported our club, and we all still went and supported them after when we got relegated. You know? Yeah, if we did get down to League One, would it be a bad thing? Like you said, it is a time then to cut your losses and go, right, okay, let's get some decent young players in. Haven't got to pay higher wages, you know? So, I'm not saying, yeah, I want to go down to League One, but, like you say, you can bounce back. You know, yeah, or you can obviously, like I say, it's 2 times story, you can have do a Portsmouth or Sunderland. But, you know, with Derby, like Daniel said here, I think when Mel Morris came in, he first went, you know, I'm a fan, I want to buy this club out, get him into the Premier League. I think Mel's learned, you know, At the end of the day, Mel is a very, 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 very intelligent man, and he probably knows more about business than me and you guys and everyone put together, you know? And I think when he first came in, all he wanted to do was please everyone at Derby, because he's a local boy, because he's a fan, and get this club into the Premier League. You know, we all heard him talk when he first, you know, bought the club. That's what he wanted to do. You know, even now, even though he's looking for investment, he's still doing it for the best interest of the club. He still wants someone that's not going to bankrupt us, not going to take the mick out of us. You know, he wants someone to be in it for Derby County, to get Derby County back into the Premier League and obviously sustain it. You know, so I think you're right, Daniel. That is, you know, I know you say sorry for a long comment, but no, what an absolutely fantastic, level-headed, reasonable comment that is. So yeah, great comment, mate. Absolutely spot on. Next question. Well, yeah. So first of all, Colin Thompson. Think Keogh deserved testimonial, but agree sack 1, sack all 3. Okay. Yeah, he did. You know, obviously the testimonials are one of the things. Obviously, it's if you're loyal to the club, you know, loyal servant. And I thought, you know, I did. You know, obviously his contract would have kept him here for 9 years. So I think we probably would have put an extension on for that last year. Like I said, even if it was just as a coaching role, you know, not necessarily playing, but obviously as a player-coach role or whatever, you know, and then he did more coaching than he did playing, you know, just so we got that testimonial. Sorry, I've got a bit of a cold, so I'm having a bit of a drink. You guys on YouTube can see that. You guys on podcast didn't see me have a Coke, but whatever. So yeah, but agree, sack 1 or sack all 3. Again, I don't agree on sacking all 3. I just think he would have left us in the right state if we'd done that. Jason Ives, best way to develop young talent: first team action where they learn from their own mistakes, or keep them on 23s to get more game time. Sweet. Cool. I like that, Jason. It's a well, no, you have actually asked another question, so I'll answer this one first. The young talent. Yeah. So obviously we're saying we've got a lot of young talent, you know, a lot of good young players. You know, we saw Morgan Whittaker come into the first team, get 20 minutes on Saturday. You know, didn't have the best time. It's a tough one because some players come into a first team. You know, I mean, I look at the likes of Jordan Ibe, for instance. I know we had him on loan, but you know, he was only a youngster when he came. But he was already at that level where he could cope. So I think with the likes of Morgan Whittaker, I would stick him in. You know, he's in the under-23s a lot as it is. But I think he needs, you know, and he's doing well in the under-23s. To be fair, you know, he tore it up in the under-18s last season. Is he ready for that step up? It's hard to judge. You know, personally, I would have let, you know, the kids the young talent or whatever you want to call them, have more time in under-23s up until January perhaps, and then bring him in. You know, let them get their fitness up, etc. Things like that. I mean, obviously, I think, you know, you'd assume that, well, looking at videos and stuff, they are training with the first team. But they need to have first team action and, yeah, like you say, learn from their own mistakes. You know, exactly. If you think about it, just in the whole, I'm going philosophical here now. In the whole of life, you learn nothing from doing everything right all the time. You don't. You improve by making mistakes, getting things wrong. Say improve, it's just life. So yeah, I would let him get more game time first, but I would start bringing him into the first team squad in cup games especially. You know, we saw it at Nottingham Forest where we got battered and it didn't really work. But I think that was too many, not necessarily too many youngsters, but the squad as a whole was fringe players. You know, when you start, I felt sorry for Morgan Whittaker, to be honest, because he's come on, he's had his, you know, his first real taste of first team football against Nottingham Forest away at the City Ground. It's a tough call. It's a tough one to make your first appearance. That is really. But we're seeing with Zach Knight. Jason Knight. He's had some appearances and he's done all right. But again, he's dropped off. You know, Lewis Sibley as well, another player. He's absolutely tearing up in under 23s. I've got a theory about this. They want to keep him under the under 23s to keep him under the radar a bit. You know, because I think if they put him in the first team, to come January, some big club will be after him. So they're trying to keep him out of the spotlight, I think, because he is a top talent. I think after January, when the transfer window is closed, I think he gets more first team game time, because he is a top talent. And he's only 17. So, Max Bird, another one, tried to get integrated last season. Didn't think he was ready. Didn't think he was strong enough. He definitely needs more time under 23s for me. But obviously, I'm only commenting on what I've seen during under 23 games. Philip Cocu and the rest, Van der Veerden and Sweepers, and Liam Rosina, sorry, and all them lot. They see him in training every day, so they're seeing how they're progressing. And if they're doing what they're being asked to do. So at the end of the day, when Cocu came in, it was about looking at players that could improve our team in the academy, or who we could improve to eventually become first team players. So what we would do is not buy players in their positions, but loan instead. So that's fine. So that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to come straight into the first team. That just means that they're going to obviously, being under 23s, let's watch them progress, see how they go over the season, and whatever, every 1 year, like Mel said, every 1 year, 2 year, whatever, but to see how they develop. But for me, I'd love to see Louis Sibley in the first team, but I do believe that, conspiracy theory, whatever you want to call it, I do believe that it's possible they're trying to keep him hidden, so some big club don't come in for him because they actually want to keep him, actually want him to play for Derby. So yeah. And then Jason again, how much of the Keogh sacking has to do with him holding the role of captain of the team and is expected to lead? No, you've nailed it, mate. I've said it before. I've answered your question really already. Yeah, it does. He's responsible. Craig Ramage touched on the radio when he played for Derby. Mark Wright was captain. If they ever went on a night out or whatever, Mark Wright was he'd always have, as he put it, a bit left in the tank to make sure everyone got home safely, essentially. I think he said, if Mark Wright saw anybody with a bunch of keys about to drive home, give him a clip round the ear, or I think was his words. So, so no, I definitely think, I just think this, I've mentioned it before, this drinking culture thing, I think it's come from obviously the Lampard's time here, They were very active on social media. We all saw them going out on the Raz and whatnot under Lampard, And it wasn't just after like wins or anything like that, or special games. It was, a lot. And the fact that it's just a sanctioned night out makes me feel like Cocu's cutting down on that. Saying, look, lads, come on, we're a professional team. So basically, obviously, the team bonding session was supposed to be foot golf. It got called off. I think they went bowling or something like that off the top of my head. I can't remember now. But then, and then they went for a meal at Joiner's Arms. Obviously, that's their local watering hole. And some lads wanted to stay on. Others went home with the cars or stayed on and then went home in a taxi or whatever. But these guys decided not to, and Keogh was one of them. And then obviously Keogh's injured. But for me, Keogh's got to be saying, no lads, let's get a taxi home. If you're going to stay, be responsible. And that, at the end of the day, he's 33, should, you've got to think he must, he's got to know better than Tom and Mason. But we don't know the facts. We don't know what happened on that night out. So, but yeah, no, I think so. And then Kyle Dean, do you think sacking Keogh was harsh due to the fact that he wasn't the one driving? No. Yeah, no. I don't know. I don't think it's harsh. I do think it's harsh. I'm torn. You can see in my voice. It's a tough one. God, my wife says I don't make up my mind. She thinks she's right. You've done me now. You've absolutely made me speechless. It's not right. Part of me thinks it is harsh because he wasn't driving. But again, going back on what I've just said about him being the captain, part of me thinks, no, it's not. You should have got them boys home safe, really. I know you're not the carer. I know they're grown men, but still, so it's one of them. And I think this is I think this is the last question. Comes from No, it isn't. That was the last question. I'm just going to check Facebook, Twitter, see if you guys have asked any more just before I call it there. Ooh, I have a question or a comment from John Edward Millhouse. The sacking is clearly a business move and nothing else. Why didn't he take the pay cut and have all his medical bills paid is beyond me. He'll take it to court, Mel will pay him off, and it's all forgotten about. It's a shame he won't get the send-off he deserves, but he made a stupid mistake and will have to deal with the consequences. The main question is, who's going to replace him? Davis is a good leader, but hasn't got enough seasons left in him. Are any of our youngsters really good enough to step up to the plate? Our younger teams are brilliant, or they leak goals just as much as the first team, and the quality is a lot better. Yeah. So yeah, no, you're right. It was it's obviously partly business move, partly like obviously G Legend earlier on touched on. Again, mate, I really don't know why he didn't take the pay cut. Obviously, if you listen to Radio Derby on there, they're guessing it's if they didn't know a figure on there, they assumed it's probably about half. But obviously, like I say, the Times reporting that it's $3,000. I don't know this. Sometimes not everything you read in the papers is true. If that is fact, whatever. If it's not, So, but like I say, still regardless, I don't know why I didn't take it. It would have been. He would have been there, medical bills paid, rehabilitation, all that sorted. Not sure why I didn't take it, So, who's going to replace Keogh? I don't know. I know what you're saying. At the moment, our back four is a bit sloppy. I'd personally like to see Andre Wisdom in there. I think, obviously at Salzburg, he played as centre back, did a good job for him. I think he won the league with them as well, to be honest. So I genuinely would like to see Wisdom there. But now it gives us, I suppose it's freed up some cash to buy some centre backs in January. And I think we need to possibly look at, I think we need to look at like Premier League quality players or possibly Premier League quality youngsters that are on the fringes of getting the Premier League teams. A bit like Tomori and Matt were last season. So perhaps we could go back to Chelsea and see if they've got anything available. I can't remember the lad's name last night. If you watched the cup game versus Man United, it began with a G, and I don't know how you pronounce his name, Gary or something like that. I don't know, Gilmore, I don't know. Not a clue, but he looked decent. As long as we don't go for Matthew Pennington, who we always link with, and I don't really think he's that much of a good player. So yeah, I'll just have a quick look, see if there's any more. But obviously, again, we're going to have to replace him anyway because Davis, out contract in the season, 34, is he 35, something like that. So, I don't know. I'm at a loss at the moment. But yeah, no, that's it. That is now all your questions and comments answered. So yeah, I will, Sorry guys, what I'm doing now, I'm saving it on my podcast because then I'm going to do the outro, you see. It's a bit easy to do on the video, you see. But here we go. Alright. Are you ready? I've set you up for this one now. So that's my show. I was going to do a bit of a Middlesbrough preview. But I think it's a bit tough to sort of do one now with what's being said. End of the day, we need a win. We need to try and let this go, I suppose, in a way. Or forget about it, put it to the back of our minds as a team, as a fan base. We've got to get behind the boys on Saturday. Middlesbrough, they're a struggling side, but they're an organised side. They don't concede many goals, so it's gonna be a tough game. But we do want to Steve Gibson, don't we? Yes, we do. I hope we get. I hope us fans give Steve Gibson some stick. That'd be cool. And oh my goodness me, that's a box just dropped off my fridge, which made me jump, but never mind. So yeah, that's ruined my outro. Oh well. Live, eh? Not really, but I'm not editing that out because it's part of it. So yeah, no, big game on Saturday then, guys. So let's we've got to concentrate on the on-field antics. not the off-field antics. Let's get behind the team. Let's give them all our support. Let's cheer them on, get them going, get them firing. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get that all, another 3 points and get our 4th home win on the bounce. Come on, Derby!